Emerald's barge. They're taking control of all the map. And MNM...
calculated brutalism.
Yeah, they did what they needed to do when they needed to do it, whether it was a minor thing, whether it was something small or huge, it was what was needed. They played the rounds ahead of them, and sure, there's a bit of a back and forth in terms of pacing, but they were never too inherently or sort of deliberately stressed by it.
Different bans already coming through. Ace, of course, to force the team to play more towards a thermite. There's a lot of impact trick possibilities here on this map, so BDS looking to use it to their advantage. I think Ossa Azame removed. I think everybody knows why, and Ossa shield is going to be quite annoying to deal with in some of these lines of sight. Azame speaks for themselves as well, and then Solace to lock it all off. So that means that we do have Mira on the board, we do have Valkyrie on the board, and it's up to BDS to decide which of those they want to bring in these very first couple rounds.
BDS, they lean in here. They start with their defense. They have, I guess now, you know, MNM has an even greater challenge ahead of them, because it's not just do as much as you can on the half, do as much as you can on what is known as the weaker half of this map. There's really still a bit of a skew, a bit of a statistic that drives. And that's another level of pressure. That's another thing that MNM have to contend with is this an expected loss, or is this just the sort of nature of what happened on the previous map?
Yeah, it's what I was saying to you earlier, right? It's like Clubhouse is coming in, I'll really write that off to BDS. The big issue is that MNM is then starting off an attack on the second map, which they then need to win to bring this to a third. And I'm not saying it's impossible, it's definitely possible. I mean, MNM, they might just play the map of their lives at this moment in time. But again, you're playing against BDS, the current reigning major champions. They are basically reborn with Liquefact joining their roster. You really need to be on point here. And that kind of sharpness that we need to see from them, that was also lacking from Clubhouse. That was not just BDS being better, it was also just a lack of teamwork at times.
Alright, the response, MNM. Time to tell. Ranchero and Alems both sort of playing the swing possibility here with a lot of electronics, giving them that stretch support. Neo's going to spray through and get the door open with the safety of range as they opt to pull back. You need sort of one swing player playing that pressure onto the cash door. They might suffer from anyone that goes for a rotation, potentially down from computer, which you can see them flirting around with here on MNM. They're going to get that popped open, and then you swing over the top of Dragon. But either way, it's still that single player, and how long will Ranchero stick it?
That's it, right? You always have that one player out there to do as much damage as long as he possibly can. And the more time you waste there, the better of a time these defenders on the site will actually have. And we'll talk about defenders, actually just BDS for now, but the rest of BDS has an opportunity to rotate back quickly. So shouldn't be too worried about that as of yet. That's the first frag to come in. Solotov to be taken out by Shaco all the way from the arcade mezzanine. So a very long shot coming through there for the entry.
Hey, there's a prep on a window and a pause. Snello would have heard that, and he's going to get himself somewhere else. Swings through before he finds himself suffering from multiple different angles. Doesn't give BDS the full time to set up. Ranchero drops down. Tyrant gets Shaiko on the back of that. Caught the player out that was the support, but Alems then finds Neo. They keep the pace one into their favor. There's the pings on the player, the reveal, the pull back. It's not quite who Tyrant wanted to get, though. Ranchero, I think he's still able to just slip his way a little bit back. They've got both the players back into the site outside of the one caught out, and now they have a minute to see if they can try and defend it, with only one now loose from what was only one on the site 30 seconds ago.
The roam clear definitely did its job, though. There's basically no utility left, but everybody's now back on the site. The issue you're going to have is that you are now stuck between the usage of two doors. You can either go for split, which is what Tyron was eyeing up before he just took a small amount of damage there, or the Dragon Door, which is playing close to BDS. Now, choosing to go for the first one. Impact EMP goes through to burn the Syria laser gate. They're hoping to find the first initial kill, which would open up the side. But BDS, again, they have that man advantage. Alem still out on that roam is going to be protecting Dragon.
One important thing that we haven't quite commented on yet is the hard breach charges were gone. They no longer have what was in the pockets of the Buck, so they've just got to sort of try and drive themselves through what is a bit of a narrow space. Two doors either side. They find one, get dropped in the trade out. Nello can't quite get the connection with the next. Then it's Alems on the back end, and suddenly Tyrant is all alone inside split. There's guns either side of him. He's got a gate there too, and only a pocket full of seconds. He's just going to see if he can pre-fire an angle, bait one of the background fights in it. Can't quite find anything. The loss of the buck proved to limit them, and the limitation proved BDS the first round.
MNM, they used all their phone calls, they used all their Jekyll scans, they used 2 of the EU1Ds they have with Alliance scans, as you may, to get the members of BDS back towards the site. They managed to find a couple of kills, but not quite enough to actually have the upper hand for that final stand. As you mentioned, losing those Harbreach gadgets definitely hurtful to some extent, because they were forced through doorways. You're not going to be winning that one out, especially not with that amount of utility still left on the defenders. So it was a good attempt for MNM, but not lasting, unfortunately. And as we're headed up towards the top floor now, we're taking over a look to our left and see a somewhat similar lineup. We see the Lion, we see the Dokkaebi still down there, the Buccaneana. This time, however, it's a Floors instead of a Jekyll, so focusing a bit more on clearing out the utility rather than clearing out these roamers. Of course, quite, logical considering the fact that, the bottom floor doesn't matter as much now as the top floor does when you're attacking the bottom floor sites.
MNM, once again, we saw what was a structured start. We saw them pull things together. They got themselves into these positions. They were able to force, as you said, a good roam clear and get some of the work done. But once again, BDS were able to just do a little bit of a strike, enough to take the wind out of their setup sails, and then push the rest of it. Okay, it's the first round. It's the first round and you're attacking on theme. It's not always expected to go into your favor. But now they got to make sure they don't fall into that headspace, the one that sort of led to some rocky roads previously.
That's what we saw in the 10-star Unlimited game as well, of course, when the 7-0 locked off that second map. It's not something we want to see here from MNM, a major contestant up against the current major champion. I mean, it wouldn't be a shame to lose against them, but that's not how they want to go out. Shaika goes aggressive on the very first, deals a lot of damage to Solotov, but is distracted by the hatch opening up.
Yeah, he wanted to risk it for the fight, but he didn't quite want to suffer the bad end of it. The external goo. It's just going to give them a bit of an awareness, or it should get shot out. They're watching out through the hole as well. Tyrant's going to see if he can try and potentially creep up a different location. The breach and the stretch, the drone there from the floor is getting some intel. There might be some more awareness. There might be a goo mine on that stair set as well that's going to reveal anything about the Nook as they wait for a slight recharge, hidden away for the camera, the pressure, the drop, the gate goes back up. Shaiko's back still towards the opener, but they just need that first panache, that first bit of a push here against this single target player. He's doing everything he can to buy himself, moves in the back of it, but Shaiko knows what to aim for, pulls himself background, still watching the hatch, still patient underneath their Tyrant, maybe expecting a fight to come through. There it is. The slow and steady movement was the set. If there's a goo mine, there it is. There's the reveal. Shaiko leads into the fight, gets the fleeing player. And he has played that perfectly.
I mean, that's the trouble with Legion, right? I mean, you can put up 7 of those goo mines all around. You know exactly when you're going to be pushed and from where. But as Users is now coming through, he's right next to that door. Has Shaiko seen him all? Definitely knows about him now. Leads into the fight, finds the third of the round. And as he finally gets shut down, I believe, no, actually, no, it's Nello with the kill coming through. He's now in the upper arcade hallway here. Knows when it's going to be up on the stairs, but gets taken out by Shaiko for his quad. And he's aware of the last in cafe. Doesn't get the ace as Neo shuts him down.
So close towards getting the first ace of this showdown, and instead finds himself sitting on 4, the same as Likefak did before. This time, there is still some hope here for MNM. 30 seconds. The Thermite, with not much health to his name, is going to see if he can try and get the break through, but you have to realize that they're still watching patiently. They have an awareness. It's 2 of the players versus 1. The rotate comes through. The long angle, he's planting in the default behind Train. They know where he is. They've just got to swing this at the same time. And there it is. Pressure from 2 opposite end doors. Not much to be done. Hands the kit over. Builds up his teammate's cost. Very nice. 2 rounds in a row for BDS.
Yeah, stats is all that matters here, So.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to give your friends a treat, let them have the defuse sometimes.
Anyway, good round from BDS there. Shaiko just holding his ground, really. Is basically what he did there. He played around that cafe door perfectly, played those goo mines to his own advantage, but I mean, you cannot really blame him for being the person that he is, for being the fragger that he is, that he uses those goo mines to fortify his own power position, which the entire hold revolved around there. So he finds basically 2 kills on the back of that, finds 4 in total, not the ace. Oh, so be it. But it's still 2-0 for BDS. They are leading, they're expanding their lead as well as they're headed towards the initiation site now. And as they're creating these long angles, it's going to be making it quite awkward for MNM to go for a cash take.
Yeah, I mean, it complicates things.
It definitely does.
That's for sure.
Especially considering the range of the kill we saw from Shaiko as the very first of this map. Going down from the arcade mezzanine all the way over towards computer's doorway, right? So it's like they're definitely looking to play these long angles. MNM seeming like they weren't ready for it at that time. Let's hope that is going to be a little bit different now as they approach the third attack. The tertiary side, this is often what you're expected to win on your attacks.
Well, Theme for my sort of money marked one of those maps that had an adaptation done when the meta majorly changed. There was obviously changes across the board, but you look at this and you look at Bank and you look at how they went from very sort of claustrophobic defenses with a bit of tower put in towards big open sightlines. You sort of set yourself up, you try and get a bottom to top kill, you try and get a left to right kill, you're looking for multiple walls, breaches and breaks, and you play it often alongside anything to slow that down, whether it's mute jammers, whether it's a Rooney Gates, whether it's castle for some teams. Either way, that is the growth that Theme Park has found itself in and amongst, and that is where MNM, as he said, they're trying to crack it, and against what has been astounding firefights and preparation on either side. As I said, once upon a time that wall would have been entirely locked, and now it's a threat.
Slide opening being made onto the Bunk side of things, just so you can get a long angle when you're moving from Cafe, but it's not going to be the eventual side. It is an extension, though, that they're hoping to cut down. And Lem's now fully aware of it, so they are going to be putting up a little bit more of an awareness out there, just to shut down any of the players that might be approaching from that direction. And as the first line scan comes through, they're hoping to move on the back of that. Taran taking down a PC utility there, instantly followed up by a new goo mine from Shaiko. He's not willing to let that staircase be handed over as quickly.
No, he is not. As instead, he's going to get himself a little bit more solidity. They back it off, lock off that back end, and turn what can be an angle into something a little bit more supportive. Shaiko doesn't swing there. Onto the call of the goo mine, I think they expected it and didn't hear the pull of the pin or the player try and tuck tail, so they knew the angle was being watched. They hoped they would get a little bit lucky to it. Renshiro pops over the top of the computers, but what you're looking at now is, well, 2 minutes gone. Tyrant, he gets the hop up. Efac's able to get 1 kill off the back of it. He's going for a massive bit of surprise, and if he can pull this off here, that's a bold connection. Solitov, for the first time in a while, it feels like MNM are able to keep themselves toe-to-toe, but it's very quickly pulled against. There it is. The call, the ping, the pull, and the pressure. Shaiko knew what the game was, and he refused to play.
Oh, now is going to be stuck as a double swing to come through. Doesn't find one, and that's just to clean up the sweep up of Alems as they find the next round here. They knew where these last 2 players were. They were basically just locked inside there, couldn't get out. And that's going to be a 3-0 for BDS. They are continuing the dominance that they have shown over Clubhouse, and they're headed back towards the Armory and Throne Room now. This is the site where they managed to get that long opening kill. It was replied to, though, by MNM, but again, they lacked that man advantage. They only had their Jekyll line and Dokkaebi left, which means there was basically no utility to truly breach through the site. So they need to change that this time around. And as Hibana gets brought, Flores gets brought. Pieces of utility you could use to solve the puzzle tossed upon you by BDS.
I mean, it is always one of those situations where things get tricky. As I said, there's evaluation. You have to evaluate the progress you're making and weigh it against the expectations you had here, and those change. Not generally round to round, but definitely map to map, and the expectations from the last map to this were, let's be more competitive. It's been tricky for them, but what you're looking at, if you glance your eyes over to the side of BDS, is only 3 players have technically got kills. Granted, they've got themselves a lot, but still, there is room there for MNM. They're a little bit more connected to, I would say, some of these rounds than they might have been in their sort of lowest towards the latter half of the previous map.
It's also the front line, though, of BDS that is getting these kills. That
was on drone.
It was on drone. You still miss out on that one. What happens? Shaiko able to get that first kill, but instantly shut down. That's going to be helpful, at least slightly. And I'm not sure if they went on the drone right after they jumped in or right before it, but that's an unfortunate loss.
It would have been before. It had to be before because we saw them. We saw the whole interaction from the perspective of the drone. So did they. Ranchiro finds Solotov. Nello's going to drive right into sight. He wants to get the swing onto the fight, but the reveal comes through. They're going to see if they can plant. They're tucked around in the corner. The impact hits it, the second and the third. But that has a little bit more punch packed into it. A 2 versus 1. Nello, he finds himself being watched, pops close with the shotgun, but suffers the wrong end of it. Can't quite find the opposing one, and I'm assuming we'll get a timeout.
Yeah, looking at Nello's face as well, he wasn't too happy with how that round played out. I mean, they wanted to go for a quick rush. They saw Shaiko, they saw him isolated, lost the player to that, unfortunately, but still continued their rush. Got to sight, not the plant. And indeed, the timeout is being called. 45 seconds for MNM to try and get everything back up on the road. Seeing if they can actually get some rounds on the board here, because 4-0 so far, it's not boding well for them, especially looking at how Clubhouse went with that 7-2 loss. And you said it, only 3 players that kills on the board? Well, that's 5 now, so BDS listened to your criticism and they decided, you know what, if you want us to do better, we'll just do that instead.
Listen, I was looking for the positives, and unfortunately, so is BDS. It's rocky, it's tough, because you compare some of this MNM from the MNM we saw yesterday, whether it's who they're up against, whether it's the sort of fight that's coming through. I mean, you know, you're looking at what is, for people's money, 2 of the top teams that MNM's played yesterday and today, Wolves and BDS. They're bringing this idea of a fight together against, you know, for some people, there's similarities between these teams more than a lot of other teams. There definitely is, but you know, it's also 2 slightly different approaches to it. BDS, they're being a lot more collected.
BDS is currently the best team in the world as well. For those of you who missed the Jönköping major, they won it, right? They finally took it. They did what they have been basically favored by fans to do for years. And they've done it now.
It was only when they weren't favored.
Yeah, when they weren't favored, they managed to take the win. But does this remove that pressure of BDS? Because now they've done it. They've won the major, right? What's another EUL final? They've already won one of those.
Yeah.
They've won 3 tournaments this year.
That was the problem. They would win a lot of things like this and not get the major. If they can sort of demonstrate that they can do both. I mean, how many teams have we seen win a major and then drop off a little bit? How many teams have we seen win SI and then drop off a little bit? To be able to keep a consistency after major success is weirdly one of the tougher things for a lot of teams, especially in Siege. And BDS, I mean, if I'm going to say MNM, their performance is definitely suffering from yesterday. BDS is just as clean. And that's that sort of worry for any team going up against them.
Definitely is. BDS not acting different to any of the teams they're playing against. It's always that same consistent performance we're seeing. And MNM so far hasn't been able to deal with it at all. It's always that worrying part. But as the pressure slowly starts coming down, 2 minutes left on that clock, you still see MNM trying to go for a bit of a guess. Where are we going from? Computers is being eyed upon now by Solotov, but as Gemini gets taken out, they see that shield. They know it's going to be quite dangerous to go out there, so Users explores a different option. But his drone gets shot out from the drone hole underneath, so he's not even going to be able to enter the building with that RC Rotero. Needs to go for a second. He's not going to be going through. Solotov dies in the meantime by Likafak, who's still aggressive out on this balcony. Spots a second head. Wanted to go for it just for a second there, but he's not going to commit.
He's sort of hoping that somebody's going for a swing round. Shaiko did. Shaiko committed, and Shaiko got locked off by Neo, still just holding the rappel. He's by himself. And that's what Likafak was trying to find, was maybe a support structure and hoping somebody was going to swing and, you know, treat him like the anchor. But there's nothing else that's currently coming towards the side of Neo. So they can sort of sit and wait. It's a pointless engagement now for them to take. Instead, they pull back. A minute 20, and well, why not start softing off some of this, because there's still that in the hard for them to get through. Nello, he's not expecting a jump out per se, but he's hoping that he at least gets a bit of a scratch of an engagement, maybe gets a bit closer to the window as the pressure comes across from the 2 of them. Heisei is going to pull back. He actually steps in, gets one. Oh, and he is waiting with bated breath behind the computer. Cannot get Neo. Neo finds his second and keeps them fighting.
Still finding Tyrant though, that's a kill that he managed to take out of that engagement in the end. And that's 45 seconds left now for a 3-on-3 engagement. LMs still has that shield, but he's completely blind for now. Users hoping to put some pressure right behind it, but it's going to be a two-man lineup right behind that shield. How close can he get? Another flashbang tossed in, goes for the hop-up, but blinds himself. Both now going to be blind. He finds the kill though, and that is going to be initiation in their hands. What can they do from here on?
25 seconds now, and they've done a bit of a dangerous drive here, but for the first time, it is the man advantage into their favor after the tack time out. Two BDS players, Renshiro and Bride, stuck on the back lines. Now just Renshiro, 2 impacts to his name, and 10 seconds to try and game this out. The flashes come through, but he doesn't see the end of it. MNM finally find their first round on this, the second map, 4-1. They might still be able to pull themselves towards a 2-4, a bit of an improvement on before, and what can be expected for some teams on their attack here on theme.
At least they have that one round, which is going to be providing them that buffer going into the second half. If this would have been an 0-6 lock-off, it would have been very difficult to hold BDS back in all their attacks, because the thing is, right, they have that wiggle room then to try something funky, to just go for a rush, to just toss it in there if MNM doesn't seem ready for it. That's just something MNM doesn't have to their advantage right now. They are behind. They need to make up ground. They cannot throw in one of those pocket strats and just hope for the best. They need to try and play this as clean as they possibly can. And that last round, definitely clean. To some extent, like except for the first initial engagement onto Likafak and not being able to isolate him for a second kill, but you still managed to trade him out right after, and that is what we like to see from MNM. That's the gameplay we saw from them yesterday against Wolves, which made them so much better than the other French team that played in the EUL finals. That's what we need to see more, just that team play, just playing on each other's trades and finding success that way.
The Monty picked once again. We saw it once across Clubhouse on MNM's attack, and it didn't quite work. It was after the tack timeout and didn't quite have the right drive behind it to try and get control on the opposite end. So here, instead, they're going to see if they can set themselves up. It's worth noting the previous round, 2 of the huge guns of BDS were shut down by Neo. He's sort of held himself a bit solid. It's not always that name that you put on the list of kills, but at this point you need everybody to start showing up here and trying to plug the gaps that are otherwise being put inside of you. In fact, he's got himself stepped up and prepped up ready around the drop of the hatch if he wants to take it, but for now, well, his Tyrant may be putting some pressure on from underneath.
There's the thing with MNM, right? Normally Tyrant uses and Solotov, those are the 3 that put up the kills for the team and really allow them to go for these entries. I was going to say, as Likafak goes unspotted again in that position, that could be crucial. Is that the Gemini?
It's a Gemini. It's a Gemini.
I was worried for him there for a second. The grenade is going to be coming around the corner. That is something he cannot do anything about. Moves into it. That's the entry kill again for MNM.
A perfect delivery there from Solotov, and now they're going to see if they can try and move behind it. The Monty is getting the pings out. They've got themselves prepped up here inside the control room. They're peering over that hefty computer desk and hoping that the swing comes around against them. The first drone is dropped, and actually is able to pop off, not quite in the range there of where they wanted it to go. The second is just going to get the reveal of the player behind the pillar. The Monty is watching. They know that there's one technically isolated, but you still have to drive your way in.
It was an XRC Retero taking out that shield a little bit further in. Smoke canisters coming through right now to stop any form of support. But Solotov does that instead by taking out Renshiro. An instant return from the smoke canister coming through from Lems to hold the Monty at bay. Grenade coming through, but it's not going to be doing too much damage onto Bride, who holds on tight. Has that shotgun out. Is wanting to go for an instant kill here. MNM still trying to knock on the front doors here with users repelling in.
That's it. Users now putting pressure onto the back line. He's seen that it's fully locked at this point. It's actually a little bit more of a swing than he might have expected. There's the reveal. The player is caught on the pillar, finds the second, and uses with Tyrant making the final connection. 2 rounds to their name and a flawless as well. Okay, MNM, the timeout has definitely opted a lot better than before. How much of a difference now can you start to put here on your defense?
These 2 rounds were more than necessary for MNM because this gives them a fighting opportunity as they head over towards the defense themselves. Now they will be on the favored side. Going up against BDS, however, I believe Anne mentioned it before, they were flawless under attack during the Major in the Grand Finals, so that is something that MNM will have to fend off here, see if they can stop BDS in their tracks, start getting into their heads a little bit here. They start off by doing so, by going towards the throne room again, so we're going towards that ground floor. It's quite a difficult side to attack to some extent. 3 walls that sometimes do get opened up, depends on which ones they actually want to go for. Looking at the right-hand side, Brede bringing out Hibana, so the Excaris will be in play. Not using the Thermite, probably due to often impact tricks coming through, and if you look at the left-hand side of your screen, you see 6 of them on the board, so it's going to be a bit more of a range operation here.
Yeah, I mean, give yourself a bit of an arm's length.
5 seconds to insertion.
Well, that's a hidden drone in the side by Shaiko. Knows that Nello is going to be reinforcing off that wall, and there's also the opportunity to see where those claws will go.
Hey, it gives you the route through for a Twitch who's on the board. They can try and get the catch. They're not going to be entirely baiting them out. They're tricky to try and root out from certain angles above, if you can get it, or rolls from the hole either side. So the Twitch drone has a lot to do here. And it is obviously playing only really against the Mozzie. There's no mute to stop it. So the particular angle that Solotov set those traps up is really going to be the only thing that can stop the roll.
And even if some of those drone holes are being covered off, they might just sacrifice a usual drone and send a Twitch drone in right afterwards. Hideaway pressure is starting to mount up. Hatches are being opened up. The first Twitch drone is looking to enter the room and has successfully done so. That's claw number 1, easily taken out. Checking the second wall, that is going to be clear.
Oh, if it gets both.
It probably is going to get both.
Please
That's the Cade.
get both.
And just looking for it, there it is. Both taken care of, no problem whatsoever. Lems gets the entry kill onto Tyrant as well. It's not a great start for MNM here.
Nope. That is really the worst way that can go through. The drone hole directly through onto site, getting both with no real pressure and getting the ping on the Kaid at the same time. They're able to find 1 kill here over the top. They're going to put the pressure in the swing round, but Solotov tucks tail and uses tucks the next. Great double take there. They're able to bite back some of that control. As you can see, they've fought back their way through towards the site. Lems does find the balance, gets Solotov loose. There's one more player that's off towards the top of Dragon. They've got to try and fight their way across the floor if they want to get the fight, and they're not actually even going to opt to take it. They put themselves back at 3 versus 3 inside the site. They still have the hard destruction to open up some of these angles, but it is a big rotate to go from one side to the other here.
All impacts used as well, so just a C4 available now on Nello to stop any of these plans, any of these openings from happening. Doesn't seem like that's what he wants to use it for, though. He's just holding it in pocket for now as BDS is looking to, well, find the approach they would like to go for. Eventually quickly giving away their call. However, this Excaris will be definitely more telling of where their attack will actually be coming from.
Yeah, getting 6, getting that opened up, giving themselves the width and the angle to the back end. Obviously, you still have enough to make a rotate through onto either of the other 2 if you want, but it's Usus that gets caught out there by a Lems right down on Dragon Door. They didn't expect the player there, but not getting the kill is a huge blow, because now they know Neo is not on the site. They've got to see if they can peel themselves back in. They do not. They're holding on from what they opened up before. Nello now is the only thing that stands between BDS trying to get one more round. He's watching towards the feet, the imprint that comes across. The other side isn't one where they can get the rotate in. They've got to take the door here onto Split. He's expecting the first fight, the break ground. The Banshee will give some of the call onto Split. They swing themselves through. They get a trade out of the other end of it. But here, BDS, they get the first attack round.
Well done there. Very clinical, clearing out those roamers. Yes, you lost 2 of those, but then also using the opening in barrels to basically cut that side in half and make sure no one can rotate back in from that Dragon side where someone has been spotted before. That is just going to help BDS get themselves across that finish line on that very first attack. And I'm not opting to go straight back down towards the throne room. They're headed towards Bunk and Daycare, a bit more of a, less turtley site. You can extend a bit more here towards Initiation and the office. Is probably what they would like to go for as well. Because that bottom floor, I mean, you're roaming up on the top floor, but there's no real way back down. And the rest is just hurling and hoping for the best and hoping you win your gunfights as soon as they start coming through. Didn't work out for them. Tyrant is hiding his cameras again. They're hoping to get as much information as they possibly can before BDS is able to strike them as they extend again towards Initiation.
Okay, MNM. Not the best way to open up the second half, but you're able to claw back what felt a little bit impossible in the first half as well. BDS resting control. I think you can see from the expression there and the end of round cams that Lems knew that there was a lot of importance here. Not to say that they needed to heat up their performance from before, but a slightly different approach. And this, the drone game that is once again punishing the approach. They know the players there. This grenade, it knows the players there as well. What a way to open a door.
You see the little chuckle on Shaiko's camera as well as he tosses that one in. He's like, oh, here's the Valkyrie cam. So they also had information on us. Just weren't able to use it properly. But it's a free entry kill. That's uses off the board. One of the top fraggers so far on MNM. They're all very equal, but just a little bit extra. It's taken care of. BDS looking to put themselves on a map and match point here.
God, imagine a Solus.
Yeah, no, you would have been able to take out that drone. It's probably why BDS banned it, to be fair. They wanna play with their pre-placed drones for these kind of openings.
Well, they get themselves the early lead. The first body is theirs. No response. How can you to a kill like that? And it gives BDS the mantle to be able to start setting themselves up with a little bit more risk possibility in their approach. The hop over the top, and Shaiko with a grenade threading the needle, almost connecting a second. I'm not sure if the call was there, but it was definitely perfectly played, and maybe there was a hand guided from users from above. This grenade tucked around the corner isn't going to get popped off. It does roll close, but Shaiko does get the next on the back of it. Shaiko killed a man I couldn't even see. Looks to see if he can find one more inside the bathroom, but they're not going to risk the full fight.
He has been spotted here. Tyrant finds Leak Effect, at least a bit of a return for MNM into the round, but there's still a man down with 1:20 left on the clock. It is a lot of time for BDS to just drone, to just get information, to get the people where they need to be. And as a reinforcement comes off, that is going to be relieving at least a little bit of pressure, as crazy as it sounds, for both these teams, because that's an angle they no longer have to worry about on the side of BDS. As they're looking to find themselves an entry, they seem to be aware of one player near the mezzanines. In the meantime, he will be in break, the other on the actual side. Claymores are being set up. That makes me believe that LMs might want to go for a bit of a rappel here onto break to put up that pressure. That's exactly what he does. They're trying to go for a three-prong attack here.
I mean, when you have three prongs, utilize them. They're looking for the two remaining players that are buried in. They're going to have to try and keep their heads on a little bit more of a swivel. The intel is being stopped directly as it comes through. They want to be prepped ready for the fight here. You can see, as you said, Lamb's prepped up on these windows for 30 seconds. They want to get the swing and the momentum. The other two players tacked up. The flash is caught out, but they're still going to pop off for Shaiko. He's looking for the first ace of this showdown. He was close once before, and as Preday's going to see if he can get the stick, and Alems is just going to rotate back around on the opposite side. He doesn't quite know where the kit's being planted. There it is, a little knife ace! Oh no, Shaiko!
He's just laughing. He's just enjoying himself right now. Really, like, what are we doing? How are we winning these rounds like this? I don't know what to say.
I don't even think they do.
He just went for it. He ran into that corner with the intent to knife that last player. That is definitely what he wanted to do there. Oh well, 2-6, where we have seen this before. MNM, can you find a defensive round here to start that comeback? This grenade, by the way, perfect.
Perfectly observed as well, thank you.
Perfectly observed. The way he blew off as well is just...
Knock knock, who's there?
This is Shaiko, right? He just finds these kids. It's the crazy thing to say, but like, you might be holding a very tight angle from a very long range, and you think you're probably going to be fine, and against the other 4 players on the team, you might be doing fine, but then there's Shaiko who just finds your head, no matter what. Or your chest with a knife.
10 seconds to go.
I mean, it was a kill for all seasons there. One with utility, one with a knife, one with a gun. If he got a secondary kill in amongst it...
I think he had a Gon 6, so
yeah.
it's
I mean, it's possible.
It's possible.
It's not easy.
It's not effective, let's put it like that.
No, not as. But,
way.
I mean, to be honest, it's sort of John Wickian. He did what with a pencil? Jeez. 6-2. BDS, they are 1 round away from cementing themselves as the top draw, top dog of EUL, after cementing themselves as the top draw in EU a few days ago. Days? No. Time is blurry.
It's just
Weeks.
the concept.
Couple weeks.
EMP comes through, it's a quick opening happening. However, there is going to be the Electro Claw's going to be way too late. Nello spots a player right on the door. He's going to be taken out by Shaiko. He's in sight. He's taking it. BDS has realized, you know what? There's always one player on site. 4 are going to be roaming up on the top. You know what? Let's just get that plan down. Let's just lock this off as soon as we possibly can.
Missed their own C4 there. The catch from above. Neo takes the drop and the fight on the hatch. Gets one, gets dropped. A post-plant situation. Users brings one more body back. Solotov is caught out. It is just down to Users. He's able to get a scratch in a fight, but it reveals the position, the survival of the player on the back end there. EFAC, he has the end of it, and BDS have the meat of it. They've got the biscuits. They've got all of the trimmings of what is our #1 team. They are our EU champions.
And they are the champions back-to-back. They're going to get their seed gilded in the league as well. And what a result it was. 7-2, 7-2. Almost completely perfect against MNM here today. And this is the BDS we knew from last year, from the year before. And it's the BDS that returned with Jönköping.
It's scary. I think it's scary not just for the teams in EU, but for anybody to sort of watch this team, watch what they've done here, watch what they've done.
Something broke at the back.
Somebody's struggling with the door from our analyst desk. And it's a fantastic performance. And for a long time with BDS, we called them the bar that needed to be surmounted. They've raised that bar with their performance over the previous stage, in the major, and here as well. And, well, we'll take a quick break before we're back with our desk to break